Hello, dear viewers. This is your loving host Atilla Yeşilada, reaching out to you from Istanbul. reaching out to you from Istanbul. I am really sorry. I have been remiss in shooting Real Turkey channel YouTube videos because I have been laughing so hard that I couldn't stand straight and speak a few sentences one after another. Well, first we have the American elections, of course, which, believe me, have been watched more carefully in Turkey than in the United States. And just like Trump supporters, Turks don't believe Biden has won. They want a recount. There is a rumor that Miss Trump wishes to divorce. Obviously, I can't confirm that, but the rumor is that she told her friends that her husband is suffering from premature declaration syndrome. Yeah, this is that kind of a video. Because honestly, I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years. Don't ask me what I've been doing for 30 years. I've been doing something or other for 30 years. And I've never seen such strange events take place in such a brief time. Let me start with a question. What's the difference between Turkey and a banana republic? The answer is very simple. Ankara's climate is not suitable to grow bananas. Yeah, this video is about the sacking of the central bank governor, Mr. Murat Uysal, his replacement with Mr. Naci Agbal, and then the rumored, the presumed, the alleged resignation of our rising star and Nobel laureate candidate, economy minister, Mr. Berat Albayrak. And this is why Turkey is not a banana republic, because in banana republics, you immediately know if someone has resigned or has been sacked. Mr. Albayrak presumably issued a message through his Instagram account, announcing his resignation. That was about 7 p.m. Sunday night. Right now it is 11:15 a.m. in Istanbul, and there is no official explanation from either the presidency, his office, the AKP party, to which Mr. Berat Albayrak is a member in good standing order, or from the website of the Ministry of Treasury and Finance. Mr. Albayrak has not spoken to anyone, and he has turned off his phones and other telecommunication devices. So we think he has resigned, but this could be like the famous Schrödinger's cat experiments. We shall not know whether the cat has resigned until we open the box. It is quite possible that Mr. Berat Albayrak exists in a variety of quantum states, which lead to collapse before we know whether we live in the reality where Mr. Albayrak had resigned, or we live in an alternate reality where he says, no, I'm doing my job. And who is the observer who will collapse the quantum wave, quantum probability wave? Well, President Erdogan, but he's also mum. I mean, our president speaks about everything, including the length of ladies' skirts, to affairs in France and United States, but he has nothing to say about the resignation of his beloved son-in-law and economy and finance minister, Mr. Berat Albayrak. Okay, believe me, I'm trying very hard to be serious, and I'm drinking only iced tea. Swear to God. Okay. I suppose it's not a comedy show, so I have to say a few things serious about that. Let's start with the sacking of Murat Uysal and his replacement by Mr. Naci Agbal. Murat Uysal was a company man. He was a team member. He did what he was told. He never hid the truth from Erdogan administration, and he followed orders verbatim. But obviously, you need a scapegoat at a time when TL is the worst performing currency in emerging markets after central bank sold an estimated $100 billion of FX reserves, thus bankrupting itself. The rumor is Naci Agbal was called to the palace for a briefing when he casually mentioned that central bank is operating with negative net reserves. And President Erdogan says, "Nah, you must be joking me. We have $100 billion. Naci Agbal says, well, look at the math. It's simple. You have sold more than you have. Then Erdogan asked around and found out, yes, Turkey does have negative net reserves. In other words, we have FX reserves, but they're borrowed from other people. We're living on other people's money. That might have been the reason why Mr. Albayrak was asked to resign, if he had been asked to resign. But before we get to that, let's go back to Naci Agbal. Yes, he's a member of AK Party and he's close to Erdogan, but he's also a 40-year treasury bureaucrat who has deep experience in fiscal and monetary matters. Therefore, regardless of his political orientation, I humbly believe he is going to do a better job at the central bank. He will probably try to restore the reputation and credibility of the central bank. I, as well as the market analysts that I have had a chance to talk to or had listened or read on Twitter, believe that his first duty will be to raise the policy rate, Turkey's interest rate, by quite a significant amount. He shall probably wait until the 17th the 19th of November for the FOMC, which is called Monetary Policy Council meeting in Turkey, to ask the other members, and with their approval, to raise the policy rate anywhere between 400 basis points to 600 basis points. He shall also work to improve forward guidance. We have backward guidance so far under Murat Uysal. Not that I'm blaming Murat Uysal. He did what he was told, and he paid the price for that. So I think Naci Agbal's appointment doesn't cure all of Turkey's problems. Like, we won't be able to grow bananas in Ankara because the climate hasn't changed yet. But he may be able to restore sanity to monetary policy, which is a necessary, if not sufficient, condition for the rehabilitation of the Turkish economy. Now, moving on to Mr. Berat Albayrak. If he had resigned, and I repeat that because honestly, to me, what people say or what the newspapers report is of no importance. We are a state. Turkey has a tradition of statehood that goes back to 2,000 years. And if an important minister has resigned, I would wait for the official announcement by the presidency or by himself to confirm that resignation. But assuming he has resigned, he too has been a company man and a family man. I don't personally blame him for the seriously screwed up and upside down, topsy-turvy economic policies that brought Turkey to the edge of the ruin. But he's more like the Grand Vizier of the Sultan who has been asked to find a weapon that would defeat the enemy. Where cannons would do the job, Mr. Albayrak delivered nuclear bombs. In other words, he acted like Mr. Erdogan's Svengali. Mr. Erdogan always wanted to know what he wanted to do, but he didn't know how to do it. And Albayrak just created the devices for Mr. Erdogan to achieve his objectives, which is to kick out all foreign money, to bring Turkey's commercial banking system under the iron control of Mr. Berat Albayrak, to use Turkey's banking regulator, BRSA or BDDK in Turkish, to jawbone or even blackmail Turkish banks to do its bidding, and to sue anyone that defies or objects to Mr. Berat Albayrak's policies. So in that sense, his departure is not good news to me. I wish him well, but a signal that Mr. Erdogan is finally grasping the dire difficulties Turkish economy is in. According to journalists I still trust, this is only the beginning of a chain of changes. Part of the cabinet will be changed. Whether Turkey would also resort to structural reforms, to restoration of democracy, and try to improve relations with the West, such as Mr. Joe Biden, EU, France President Macron, etc., I really don't know. But reportedly, one reason why Mr. Erdogan felt the need to start a new policy direction is the intelligence provided to him by reliable members of his party that 54, exact number, 54 of AKP deputies were so sick and tired of the sloppy management that they were about to resign and migrate to DEVA party, the chairman of which is Professor Ahmet Davutoglu, who used to be a former prime minister, discredited, cast out to the wilderness, finally kicked out of the party, and now he has his own party. So all in all, without blaming either Uysal or Albayrak, and I say so honestly, they did what they have been told. I think we're on the verge of very important policy changes in Turkey. In some sense, Mr. Erdogan is facing a series of rationality tests which will determine whether he is a pragmatic leader who does what needs to be done when the back of the nation is to the wall. Murat Uysal's replacement and Mr. Berat Albayrak's presumed resignation are very good signs in that direction. What do I expect from Mr. Erdogan if he has seen the light? A. Give Naci Agbal full independence to do what needs to be done to stabilize the Turkish currency. B. To appoint someone to the Ministry of Finance and Treasury who knows traditional economic theory and who is, credible enough to tell him, Mr. President, what you're trying to do is wrong. I propose we do it differently. To me, that's more important than any other names. 3, he needs to end the outbreak. Turkey still reports 2,500 patients. Turkey doesn't report COVID-19 cases. I have it from respectable medical authorities that cases, those super spreaders, are at least 10 times as many as the official patient tally, which would give Turkey 25,000 new patients per day and would put it in the league of top 10 outbreaks. Mr. Erdogan needs to shut down the economy as EU is doing. That's the second rationality test. 3, unfortunately, time moves only in one direction, though quantum theorists might tell you differently. Mistakes have been done and they have brought Turkey to the edge of the default and recession. Those cannot be changed. We cannot do what has been undone, or it's the other way around. We cannot undo what has been done. But as a bare minimum, he needs to establish good relationships with Joe Biden and EU. This is not a political necessity, and it doesn't reflect the fact that I'm a CIA agent. It is a necessity because Turkey is a credit-dependent country, and all of our foreign financing comes from Western countries. just before a winter which is going to be devastating for Turkish people who are going to be stuck with a deep recession and a ruthless outbreak. It's simply not a good idea to pick up fights with your creditors. So, without sacrificing Turkey's national interests, Mr. Erdogan needs to shake hands with the EU and Joe Biden. We shall see in the next month or two whether Mr. Erdogan passes this test of pragmatism. If not, then he's facing baptism by fire. This has been Atilla Eşilara, laughing very hard from Istanbul, and I hope you have a happy day too. Please stay home and stay safe. This was a Real Turkey Channel broadcast. Bye bye now.